Thank you for joining us. So what prompted you to change the equity structure of the firm?
So, when not prompted, I mean, if you look at the legal industry, the landscape for the last 10 years or so, you've been seeing that this gradual chipping away from one partner joining, starting up, with a team, one partner and two partners. The last year, we've seen some, massive movements in 3 or 4 firms, including ours. We've had, a large number of partners. Now, what we need to understand is that it's obviously intrinsically linked to the entire the evolution of the Indian economy. I mean, Indian economy is in a boom, and so is entrepreneurship. We've had 100 plus unicorns. So you have this whole space, which is, if you look at a generation, maybe the last generation, when they looked at jobs, they were looking at stability, security, and all of that. But this is the age of entrepreneurs. They're looking at creation. They're looking at the ability to create. They're looking at the ability to build.
Yeah.
And that structure, which is there in the Indian economic landscape, is also, being mirrored in, because it's linked, mirrored in the Indian legal system.
Yeah.
So when we opened up, it was 1 or 2 or 3 individuals running a firm, and that worked in. And you can't deny or take away anything, the massive contributions those firms made, even those 1 or 2 corporate legal, corporate law firms, individuals. But today is different. Today, can you have a firm which does not give the creative, the creative support or the ability to build and actually ensure that there's a platform where the governance structure is transparent, where there is no one person which is controlling and calling the shots, and therefore you actually give a platform to these entrepreneurs, which is India's thrown up in India and in the legal industry, to come and say that, hey, we've come to a platform where you want to build, we want to create, and we want to grow. So when we were looking at, so we always wanted, I knew that we had to get to this equity structure, so we've been discussing it for a long, long time. And this current very focused discussion started about a year ago. We engaged experts, we spoke to various law firms, multiple law firms, and then wanted to create a structure with the learnings of other firms and have a structure which gives exactly what I said, that there is this whole platform created where the firm will support entrepreneurs. And the firm, it can't be that, it's not a question of come and jump into the deep end of the pool. There will be support, and we will be supporting and incubating entrepreneurs. And that's how it's been growing, and that's how the firm has been growing. And hopefully with this structure, we will be attracting a lot more people who want that independence and genuinely feel a sense of ownership, and not just working for a firm or in a firm, but working as a part of an owner of the firm.
Yeah.
And that's what we are actually trying to create.
So earlier in our chat, you said there are 5 levels in the modified lockstep. So can you explain that a bit?
Yeah. So what happens? A modified lockstep concept is that you're not on a treadmill. So every level, you're automatically going up to the next step. And the reason being that it's not a treadmill that you have to perform every single year, because everyone need not perform every single year. So there are 5 levels, and each level has a number of steps. And in a level, you have to cross from one level to the other. So what we've done is we called it that we want to make it transparent. So you're very clear, there's absolute clarity of what you do and where you will be. It's aspirational and yet achievable. So it's not that the numbers or targets you're putting which is so high that you can't. So it's something which is, I won't say easily achievable at the higher level, but it is not unrealistic. So whilst, we already have people who are already in the higher levels when we started, because they've already achieved those numbers. So each level has these gateways, so as to speak, and you cross the gateway and then you go to the next level. However, because we've had maybe 10 or 12 meetings with all the equity partners, and we've decided that even the gateway conditions, sometimes we might need to relax or certain exigencies. So it can't be so straitjacketed that now the executive committee is the one which is the governance body and which runs it, and effectively gives the power to the EC to waive or defer certain conditions. So that's how the level goes. And as I said, every level you go up, it becomes that much more difficult to come down. So you won't be able to come down so easily, because the firm recognize the contribution you've already made. So one of you are being bad, or 2 of you are also being bad, because you've already gone up that level. So it recognizes the contribution and makes the coming down almost impossible at some point in time. So this gives a comfort that, just because you're here, you're not jumping all around the place.
And it's also harder to go to the next, it gets harder going to the next
No, actually not. So we've actually, so there are, of course, few factors, financial being one of them.
Yeah.
There are no subjective factors. So as a firm and the partnership, we're looking at three things, three pillars. We call this the Venn diagram. One is the quality, which is, as a quality skills lawyer. The second circle is the business acumen in terms of the ability to hunt and farm or mine and mine clients or get clients. And the last diagram is the leadership, because if you want to grow, you have to build a team. And that's how, so all these three are actually linked to the growth. None of it, and I think all the partners agree, and I think the quotes are coming out all the partners agree that none of it is unachievable. So it's actually, it was, when we started it, when we got the numbers, it was much higher. Then you say, hey, when we do the math and see that if more number of people are able to achieve this, the equity pool actually grows.
Yeah.
Instead of keeping it so high that not too many people can achieve it. So we actually did the math and say, let's make the barriers or the gateways, barriers is the wrong word, but the gateways I would prefer to call it, far more achievable. Yeah.
And it was mentioned in the press release that the new structure also aims to be empathetic towards situations beyond partners' control and other circumstances like maternity and child care.
That's something which is very, very close to my heart, and I see we have missed out almost 50% of the talent because there is no system which recognizes that when a woman becomes a mother, they don't need to, there has to be a system with that. So one is the infrastructure. So we created in Bangalore, we created a creche to ensure that some of the partners, their kids are there. But we don't want to, suddenly just imagine you're someone who's brilliant, hardworking, is pregnant, has childcare. Just because of that, should she be penalized? Sorry, you could not achieve the target and you will not go to the next level. It can't be. That's just grossly unfair. Similarly, so we've had a case where there was a special attention needed for a childcare, but the person was brilliant. I'm talking a long time back.
Yeah.
And we don't want to clearly, so this is something which we see, there's a lot of talent which is being wasted, not only infrastructurally in terms of having rooms or working out of home, that's given, but also aspirationally, we want to tell people that, hey, listen, you won't be penalized just because you got something which is not in your control. So if you become a mother, or if you need childcare, or if you've got an ailing parent which you have to go out to, don't worry, the firm recognizes your earlier contribution and will waive those conditions to go to the next level. So you don't get stagnated because of certain special conditions. And that's something I believe is going to be very unique for us. I mean, I don't know any, well, I shouldn't say that, but I think that's going to be something which actually makes it more humane.
I'm sure more firms will follow.
I hope so, because it's just, I feel that, it's easy to say you can work out of home. You don't worry, we have flexible working hours. But do you reward someone who does not bring in the same amount of revenue and say, you know what, we still want to push you and we still want to reward you. And that's what we want to make a statement.
So where do you see Argus in next 5 years?
So by the way, 13 years has been an exhilarating journey. I mean, where we are today, we didn't think just one step at a time. We started with maybe a few people and us. And the Calcutta office was probably smaller than this, the whole office. Today we were 5, we're almost reaching 200 people, total strength, lawyers, non-lawyers. The last 3 years for us has been this, a good journey. We're fortunate enough to do some of the biggest transactions, and not one-off, consistently. It's like not that you do one deal and then you forget. It's consistently from different clients, the big deal. So I see that growth in terms of operationally, in terms of work-wise practice are growing. We all believe that this equity model will attract a lot more people. And if that happens, we see that our growth journey will continue. And in the next 5 years, I hope that we will be, I don't want to put a number in terms of where will we be in terms of people, but we believe that we will definitely be growing significantly more. We've actually had a good journey till now, and I see no reason. I mean, these are catalysts which will just hopefully take us, up there. As I said that, finally, as a firm, we always said, let's be human, keep the human part very alive. And the last question, that was very thought out and said that we don't want to be a business platform. We want to be a business platform, but let the human part be the first thing. And people, as I keep on saying, people to me is the most important thing, and priority 1 to 10 is people. And if you get that right, the money will happen, practice will grow. Everything else is a byproduct of how happy people are in the organization. I think that's the most important thing. So I think we should be able to grow.
And how do you think big law firms perceive firms like yours, which are rising at such a good pace?
Why are the big law firms that question?
I
So in terms of big law firms, as I said, the landscape is changing. And what COVID did, the big law firms became bigger. Okay, so there was, maybe the big law firms became even more bigger, and I think there is enough work in the market today where they would feel threatened of anything. Anyway, they won't. And no one does. So if you look at it, earlier there were the top 3, top 5. Now you have larger law firms, more than 5.
Yeah.
It's no more top 5. You'll have, big, may not be the top 5, but the 6th and 7th are very large and very big. This is very similar to the international market, right? I mean, you have massive firms who are not even in the top 5 or top 7 or top 10. I mean, you could be ranked 15th and massive, they could have 3,000 people and 500 partners, or 300 partners. So I don't think, I'm not talking about the perception, I think there is enough India has to offer. The next decade belongs to this country, without doubt. You see it happening in our legal industry, in the law firm industry, as I said, that, the way it's going, the way it's going. So I would probably see a lot more law firms becoming bigger. The challenge obviously would be the smaller firms, whether they would merge or how they can ensure that. So it's we've been lucky because we came in just 2009, which and then we got onto that space. So I don't think there'll be any concern at all. What we'll see, one thing for sure, is that in terms of partner movements, like we would see in the big 4 accounting firms, we started seeing that in law firms, and that we'll see. Yes.
And what do you think will be the top 3 legal trends for the next 2 years, 23, 24?
One, I think, is that salaries will keep on being pushed up. Because just a factor of how the economy is growing, the regulations coming in, and law being a necessary advisor in almost all spheres of life. AIs, I personally believe in the next 2-3 years is still a distant away. I mean, subject to corrected, I don't think AI will substitute in the next 2-3 years. So one, definitely I see that the salary being pushed up significantly. It has already happened, and there is a pressure, so it'll just be a reaction, and there will be salary pushed up. So good news for all the youngsters.
So you're talking about the freshers or
freshers,
across?
partners, across, just the pay packages in law firms will just get more. I'm quite sure about that. So that'll happen, because that's just it's simple math. You do that, there is a dearth of talent. And everyone will look at talent. And talent not only at partner level, talent right up to fresher level. So for a firm to actually deliver, you don't need only the partner to be good. You need the partner, the principal associate, even the fresher to be good. Even the fresher needs to be able to impress people they're working with. So that means that the demand for good, intelligent talent will be more. And the supply is also there, but I think that, so that's one. So there will be a big push in salaries, retainership fees going forward, which consequently is fees, legal fees.
Correct.
Second I see is, of course, there'll be a lot more big team movements. And we've set the trend this year. We've seen that 3 or 4 large big movements. We've never seen such big movements together in a span of 1 year, right? And I believe that was going to happen a lot more. For 2 reasons. One is the entrepreneurship platform. And as I give the example of that KPMGs and ENYs, you see a lot of movement there.
Yeah.
When partners feel that they are, of course, money is going to be a driving factor, and B is the ability to create and build more. So I'd see that as, that's the second one. And third probably is, you will see probably some more consolidation. I mean, you will see bigger firms emerging out of consolidation, hopefully, or smaller practices coming in. The smaller firms we are at a space where we've taken off. They might probably join platforms. Smaller firms might say, hey, listen, for me to go another 10 years or 15 years to create, it's better I join a platform, which is a firm which gives me the independence to do it. So I see that.
Interesting. So, before entering the law firm space, you were a litigating lawyer and an in-house counsel. Which role was your least favorite?
Tricky. I've never the most favorite. I mean, so okay. I know that's an answer you don't want to hear too if I say none, because I genuinely loved all. I mean, I'm passionate about litigation, so I still, if I have a chance, I would like to go and argue in court. All of them. So it's unfair to say any one of the role was least favorite, but I'll share an anecdote. There was a time when I was in ICICI Limited then, and to me, that was a phenomenal learning experience. The whole finance and how finance world works. To me, anyone who's been in that organization, the learning was phenomenal for us. But there was a time when I was running around and going around with liquidators, and receivers, court receivers, of enforcing assets all over the country, somewhere in Haryana, somewhere in Tamil Nadu. And I hated that. And I went and told my senior, I said, what am I doing? I'm here, a lawyer, what are you making me do? He actually told me, and he actually told me that one day, what you're learning in this will come to use. And in today's world of IBC and restructuring, where there's one practice area where we've actually been one of the firms which has been right up there, that has come to use. And I hated
all the
that.
Groundwork.
Yeah, all the groundwork. You're a flunky, or what are you doing? Liquidators, hotel booking, or receiver. Hello, sir, with the card, then go put up the paste and all of that. But maybe at that time I disliked it. But yeah, he was right. At some point of time, that all of that is a learning, the last 25 years, which has built what it is.
You still didn't say which one is the least favorite.
No, all were different.
Yeah.
So, all were different. Sometimes, I love the law as a role. So sometimes you do get bogged down of managing a firm. Okay. I'm not saying this is my most favorite, maybe, but yeah.
So on a lighter note, I'm asking you this. If you could pick one Indian lawyer, past or present, to work with you at Argus, who would that be?
So I'll have a lot of, I would say, hey, listen, all the partners in the other law firms, come back and join here. We're creating something which is going to be interesting. We're creating something which you will be an owner. And all of us will take this to the next level. But I know your question is at one. I've worked with a lot of seniors, so I would like them to come in, and there's some brilliant people in the industry. But I do really like, I have a lot of academic discussion on governance with Umakant, and we're trying to do some. And at some point in time, it's just such a blissful break speaking to him. So when I go to Singapore, or when we sometimes speak, because of governance, it's so academic, so enriching. And sometimes just to hear him and his views, his viewpoints. I'm not saying that Uma can't come, but that would be someone I would love to have worked with on some project, because it's just extremely interesting to work with him.
That's an interesting name to mention.
Yeah, I know, because we've been
Yeah.
doing some work on
Exactly.
governance with him,
Yeah.
and anything on something, he's such an approachable and a nice person. That's nice human being.
Yeah.
Simple. So that's my thing about.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank
Pallavi.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell icon.